Om Namo Narayana. 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 Om, I bow to the Lord Narayana. I bow to him and my Guru, because my Guru is Narayana. I bow to him and you because you too are. But the difference is that you are a sleeping Narayan. You have to wake up from your delusion that you are separate from him and that your reality is an ego with a body and a personality. You know, it's interesting, but a great guru, it isn't that he doesn't have a personality. I remember my guru saying, although he was liberated many lifetimes ago, he said, when I see the body I am to assume, and I see the personality that will go with that body, then it feels sort of like putting on a hot overcoat on a summer day, a little itchy and uncomfortable, but then I get used to it. He had to have a personality to function as a human being. But it was a beautiful personality. And so many people who have read Autobiography of a Yogi, back when I lived in India, back in the early 60s, very few people had read that book. Now I meet many who have read it, but they still don't know him. They think of him as a sweet young man who had the good fortune to meet these great saints. The truth is, he was born a great saint. But he had to keep that hidden until he met his guru, just as Lahiri Mahashai had to keep his hidden until he met Babaji. This is the play of great masters. But even as a boy, he was sitting in school one day. Now, it'll probably be my bad luck to find that this thing crops up among the next readings. I'm not sure. But anyway, I do know it's in this book. He was sitting in school, and there was a boy next to him, and my guru wrote him a note. This is when he was still a child. And he passed it to the boy and said, I am your guru. And the boy looked back. He said, bad boy. Then that night he had a vision which showed him that he was his guru. And he spent the whole day looking for Mukunda, as my guru was known then, but my guru hid from him. This is the way of God. He calls to you. Finally you begin to listen and finally begin to seek him. Then he plays hide and seek. He makes it harder to find him so that you will seek him all the more. But you know, in fact, I'll read this saying to you now, which is a very interesting one, because people who read Autobiography of a Yogi, they think how lucky he was to meet those great saints. Well, my guru confessed that in his later years that when he went to these great saints, they were always wanting to learn from him. The Master told us during his last years, I used to go to saints as a boy. I wanted to learn from them. They, however, kept asking me questions. I went to them in the hope of gaining from them, but they were hoping to gain from me, because they could see what a great soul he was, even though he had to be born in a young body at that time. The age has nothing to do with wisdom when you speak of somebody's spiritual stature. They're little children who understand more than grown-ups. And that's because they've carried that wisdom over. They may not be saints, but they know often more than their own parents about the things that matter. They may not know addition, they may not know grammar, they may not know those superficial things that you learn in school, but they know what is right and they know what is wrong. My mother told me one time, I was just a child of 5 or 6, and she was making up like this in front of a mirror, as women do. And I said, Mother, don't be always thinking of your beauty like Mrs. Martin. And she was so surprised, first of all, that I would perceive that, and secondly, that I would know that Mrs. Martin was like that. But she was, doesn't much matter who Mrs. Martin was. The point is that children see an awful lot. They're not as dumb as they look. And sometimes they see a great deal. So there's a beautiful story, well, not beautiful, it's very funny. It's called Tobermory. It's a story by Saki, which was the pen name of H.H. Munro, about this cat that had been somehow taught how to speak. And when people discovered this fact, there was great embarrassment at this house party. And they called the cat in, and someone said, well, what do you think of human intelligence? And the cat turned away with disdain. Well, my intelligence, for example, the cat refused to answer, except to the answer the first question. It said, whose intelligence in particular? And so this woman said, well, mine. And he turned away with a look of sort of embarrassment. It's quite a funny story. I can't go into it now. It is by far not, it's far from being a spiritual teaching. But my guru had, one of the things he said to live a balanced life was to read one funny story every day. In that spirit, I have read and even recorded stories of P.G. Wodehouse, who, unlike Saki, who had a little mean twist in his humor, P.G. Wodehouse was just a kindly humorist. It was sort of a God's eye view of humanity. And that's the kind of humor that my guru also enjoyed. He could laugh heartily, but it was never at people. It was always that sense of being their friend. And whenever they wanted to help him, he just helped everybody. But the thing is that don't misunderestimate him. Don't underestimate, I should say, when you read that great book. I think it's one of the very greatest books ever written. But it was written in such a beautiful and engaging and human way that you sort of see yourself in that position. He wrote it with humility. And so many people who don't have sufficient discrimination think that, well, it was just his good luck that he met those great saints. They don't realize what he manifested from the beginning, which was extraordinary depth of consciousness and extraordinary. His brother told me that when he was just a little, almost a baby, just hearing the name of the Divine Mother, and he would weep tears. He had absolute devotion to God, and nothing else ever meant anything to him. He never had any desires. The truth of my guru, I've been able to tell in my book, The Path, and in this book, Conversations with Yogananda. He couldn't tell those things about himself because it wasn't his nature. He didn't want to say, I am this. But you can certainly infer it. And I can tell you by my experience, because having lived with him and lived closely with him for 3.5 years, I came to see a level of greatness that hasn't been excelled anywhere. I've had a chance to meet many saints, many masters. It has been my good blessing. I don't put him above them. That would be wrong spiritually. The truth is that once you find God, and once you unite your soul with God, there's nothing else to become. You are perfect, you are infinite. And so you can never say, and most people make this mistake of saying, this one's greater than that one. that's a mistake. And the gods are not pleased by that. The saints are not pleased by that. But I can say, and this I do say, that my guru's personality was so perfect for the role that he had to play. He was so able to reach out to people as one of them. He could be a real friend, a real companion to total strangers. And yet somehow there was something in him that always radiated. He never came down to their level, but I remember after a theater performance, and I was sitting next to him, there were several of us there, and afterwards this Indian who knew him but was drunk, let's face it, drunk is the word, and he was being over-familiar with Master and sort of throwing his arms around him like this, and an Indian, a Bengali Guru Bhai, brother disciple of mine, made some disparaging remark in Bengali to the Guru. And Master very sternly said, don't. He saw this man as a child of God. He didn't laugh at him. He didn't look down on him. He didn't condescend. He talked to him with complete respect, as if to a completely sober person, which this person was definitely not. And one time he went into a hotel lobby, I think it was in Milwaukee, I'm not sure, and a man who was drunk saw him there, and somehow he felt something, because he came up to this man, and a total stranger, threw his arms around him. He said, "Hello, Jesus Christ." And my Guru just very respectfully said hello, and then he thought, well, it's too bad for this man to lower his human dignity to the point of getting drunk. And so he looked at him, and the man became sober, and he was staggered by what he suddenly felt, and he said, "Say, what are you drinking?" And Master said, "Never mind, it has a lot of kick in it." Well, the man couldn't really appreciate it, but I think that when Master gave him that blessing, that was something. He gave blessings to all kinds of people, and it changed their lives. One time there were 3 hold-up men who came with pistols and demanded everything he had. He said, "Well, I can give you my money," which he did. But he said, "I have something you can't take away from you unless I give it to you." And they looked at each other in puzzlement and said, "What's the matter with this guy? Is he crazy?" And then Master looked at them with love, and they were dumbfounded. They say, we don't want your money. We can't go back to that way of life. And it was so different, they just ran away, but they dropped everything he'd given them at his feet. But many people of that sort, he met many hold-up men and people of all types, from the richest to the poorest. But he was the same to all. And somehow he touched the souls of all. Sometimes those people didn't get it right away. Years later, I told you a story recently about some men who just helped operate a gas station at the foot of the hill where Mount Washington, my Guru's headquarters, was. And he just filled the gas tank. I suppose they exchanged a few words, but Master wasn't the driver. And some of our people at Ananda in Nevada City happened to go to a gas station, and this man saw Yogananda's picture on the dashboard. And he said, "Oh, that's Yogananda." He said he used to come and fill his tank, get his tank filled at our gas station. Oh, he was the greatest person I ever met. I've never been able to forget him. Well, that kind of influence that he had over everybody. Was he different? No, I'm not trying to say that. Please understand, I am not sectarian. I am very loyal to my Guru, extremely appreciative of what he was. I'm trying to show that aspect of him because although all liberated and great masters are on the same level in consciousness, but they all have different roles. They have different personalities. As my Guru said, the personality I am to assume at that time. But another interesting thing is that in all the lives that I know of his, and I don't know by any means all, he has always been very powerful. His personality may have changed according to need, but his persona, his deeper being, if that's the meaning of the word persona, I'd have to look it up to be sure, is always the same. There's always that great, powerful presence there, which he has always displayed. People who went against it suffered because of it, because they couldn't handle that kind of strength. People who went with it were melted by it. And in this life, some people just couldn't take his discipline. As my guru said, many fled from my guru because they couldn't handle his discipline. I said to Master one time, because he said, at that time, he said, it was as if he drove them away. I said, is that because he wasn't going to come back to this plane? And my guru said, that's right. He had a few stragglers this time, that's all. He didn't want to take on the responsibility of others. But my guru has said that as long as one stray brother is left sitting by the wayside weeping, I will come back, I will ply my boat across to these shores to bring him back. How many times has he done it? I don't know. But I think it's a safe bet that he's done it many times. So it is. This next song is like Emerald Isle, which I sang to you a couple of days ago. But I want to emphasize, in this song it said there's one special place. It's a symbol. All of us have one special place. I don't really say Sorrento is that special place, but where you have felt inspired, that is special in this world. Live in this world, finding and seeking beauty everywhere. Be like the wise ant, as Babaji said to Sri Yukteswar, seeing a hill of sand and sugar, it takes only the sugar. And as Ananda Ma said when she gave me some sweets, Shob Shomai Mishti Khao, always eat sweetness. Joy to you.
I've roamed the far hills and learned many skills. I've wandered on many a shore. Though often I've thought I'd gained what I sought, a voice always said, there's more. Go sing with the sun and dance with the moon. Go ride on the highest star. The reaches of space lack one special place. It's there that my heart did soar. Have you seen Sorrento? Roamed her emerald hills, breathed her morning magic, flowers and bounding rills. Beauty spring is gladness, shaming mortal skills. Have you seen Sorrento? Gazed on Naples Bay, sailed upon the blue sea, heard the wavelets play. Tell her if you go there, I'll return someday. Have you seen Sorrento? Have you seen Sore